I think the poet or the filmmaker or the musician, the poet must not avert his eyes. You must not avert your eyes. This is what is coming at us.
Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that tries to glimpse the decent special effects amongst the maddening lighting and editing of a deranged German hack. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Paul Goodman.
And today we shall be discussing Alone in the Dark, Uwe Boll's 2005 succession of images based loosely on the fourth entry in the Alone in the Dark video game series. Critics enjoyed the movie. Oh, sorry, I misread my notes. Critics tore this fucking movie to pieces as if it was singly responsible for all the pain and misery in the world, and the only way to stop it was to bludgeon it to death with their bare hands. That's what it actually says.
That was lifted straight from Rotten Tomatoes.
That was the consensus. Jack Matthews, for example, at the New York Daily News, said Alone in the Dark is no better than whatever you might pick up whilst wearing a blindfold at Blockbuster, even if you happen to reach into a trash can.
Wait,
yeah,
suggesting that reaching into a trash can was the preferable option in a Blockbuster blindfolded.
But yeah, this seems to have brought out like the creativity in a lot of our sort of favorite critics. Chris Kaltenbach over at the Baltimore Sun.
He's a favorite.
Oh god, yeah. Said Alone in the Dark will be the worst movie of 2005. The idea that anything could be worse is the only genuine scare the movie has to offer.
Ooh, it's very clever, isn't it?
That is very clever.
I do like when they do plays on theme. It's very clever.
But not as clever as the general public, who also hate this movie with a fiery passion. Byzantine, not spelt that way, at IMDb, said a better title would have been Alone in the Theatre. Laugh. Good. The movie has 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, Paul, you German tax shelter.
Hello.
Guten Tag. What quality did you manage to glimpse in the shadows?
I like how it broke your fucking speakers. Either it broke your speakers or it just picked up where Gem and the holograms had left off.
They never recovered from Gem. Okay, well that sounds nightmarish. It sounds difficult to follow. Luckily for us, and for all, there's a little opening text crawl, like the Star Wars.
Oh!
Yeah, like
okay.
a Star War, to help you through and sort of set up the universe and what's going on. So, the opening text crawl tells us that there was a civilization called the Abkhani, and they believed that there were two worlds in this one of light, one of darkness.
Okay.
They opened a doorway between the two worlds of light and dark, but the darkness started to come through into their world, so they had to close it. But before they could close it, some of the darkness got into this world. Okay, so there's some darkness in this world, but there's another world of darkness to which the door is closed. There's a key to open that. But they disassembled it and put it on the four corners of the world. Yep. Because at that point the world had corners. It was before it was circular.
Okay, yeah.
So the Abkhani then disappeared completely, just off the face of the earth. Okay. But they left the artifacts which demonstrate their belief in this dark world, which later on people find, including like these gas station workers who find it. Yeah. Now, Lionel Hudgens is this guy who runs a bureau called Bureau 713. Now they are needed to, in order to try and investigate the Abkhani and find out like where they hid these artifacts. Okay, now but the leader of the group, Lionel Hudgens, experimented on orphans in order to try and create a sort of man-beast bridge, a sort of connection between the two. But he sort of started doing his experiments in a gold mine.
As the film started.
In a gold mine, but then, as a result, some of those orphans sort of disappeared and were sent back into the world as a sort of ghost walker. Careful! Then the film begins with that scene that we just mentioned of the orphans being taken out of the orphanage by a sinister fellow.
Yes.
One of the boys runs away to a power plant where, a power like junction box thing that's kept near the orphanage.
Sure.
And is electrocuted.
How hard?
Not hard enough to not turn him into Christian Bale. Christian Bale.
Yep.
Not hard enough to not turn him into Christian Slater.
You have to go through the Christian Bale stage to become Christian Slater.
he pupated into Christian Bale. And
Chrysalis Bale.
Chrysalis Bale.
And then it's a shitty period that nobody likes. But to become Christian Slater, you have to become Christian Bale and then eat the Moonstone.
You become Christian Pupa.
Yeah.
And then you're out in the world in your beautiful sort of...
Slater form. And beautiful Slater form, Slaterfly, is on an airplane with a young boy who he traumatizes for no reason. He gets off the plane, gets on a taxi, he climbs onto it. Gets right on top of it, he's like Spider-Man.
Do you want to get in the taxi, mate? No, I'm fine.
I'm good up here.
Okay, that's the standard of Slater impression you guys can expect throughout this fiasco.
This is an hour-long special, everyone.
You don't have to believe me. My name is Edward Carnby, and I'm here to protect you from the things you don't believe.
when he is doing that, he is also explaining in another voiceover. It should be said that the voiceover at the beginning of the film was not Christian Slater.
No, it was some guy.
It was it a German guy?
I don't think so.
No,
it was just Uwe Boll sort of whispering into the microphone. And then the orphans are going into the gold mine.
No, I think you're right. I think it was just like typical English voiceover guy.
Yeah, English voiceover guy.
Yes.
Probably not Lionel Hudgens, who would have some sort of vested interest in portraying the events in his sort of angle.
Flavor, yeah.
Yeah. And then the stupid, terrible orphans, who are no worth to anyone, got led by the brilliant and also quite handsome professor down to the luxury gold mine where they could have a great time.
Finally managed to find a use for the useless orphans.
Useless twats.
I hate them. I hate them so much. But
he fills in, not the gaps, because there weren't any gaps, but he fills in the kerning of the sentences.
Yes, it was kind of like having a neurotic friend who doesn't like silence.
What are you trying to say?
I learned the truth a long time ago. When I was 10, I lost my memory. Gone. Erased. I know something bad happened.
So anyway, he's in the taxi.
Yeah.
Explaining to the taxi driver that he worked.
Exactly what he does.
He's a private investigator who specializes in the paranormal.
Yeah, and the taxi driver's response is, "You twat."
No, it's not. It's, oh, really? That's very interesting. It should have been, you twat.
His response is a wild laugh and, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I think is the line.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he actually... I seem to remember he goes along with it, because the next thing that happens is, hey, that taxi driver, that car behind us is kind of following us. And he's like, want me to lose him? Wouldn't mind.
Which was a good line. I quite like that.
I like that line.
And yes, which is why I was surprised that the taxi driver was just so suddenly into it.
Yeah. I was like, you fucking idiot, believing in ghosts. We're being followed. Oh, shit.
Well, that's different. I mean, that's something you can see.
I guess.
Yeah, paranormal. I've got to see it to believe it. With my own 2 eyes. With my own 3 eyes. He was a weird taxi driver.
He was a very weird taxi
And he's like, look, well, there's that taxi. And he's like, fuck!
They don't lose him. Instead...
No, in fact, they sort of make themselves found.
Yes, by speeding up, forcing it into a sort of thing. And then the taxi sort of rams into the current taxi.
Yep.
Christian Slater bravely abandons the taxi driver to his own situation and runs off. Fight scene ensues, a chase scene ensues. It's a very prolonged action sequence.
Bullets don't stop him, and he continues his steady march towards the Slater.
Absolutely. It's only when the Slater does a flip.
Yes.
Which sends Badman onto a pike, which severs his spinal column, that he is...
bested.
Yeah, he is allowed to die today. Cut to Professor Tara Reid.
Yes.
She's an archaeologist, right?
She's an archaeologist.
Yeah, working in a museum, taking delivery of some stuff.
Yeah.
The guy delivering it is like, oh, what's this? And Tara Reid goes, and then the security guy goes, that's just, and pushes her out of the way. That's Abkhani artifacts. The Abkhani were a civilization existing several thousand years. Oh, wait, we already know this from the voice call. That's interesting. Yeah. That probably won't happen again. Cool.
But Rob did, Rob the security guard was basically Rob the Oracle, wasn't he? He knew everything about everyone.
Hey, well, I don't want to talk about it. Is that because your boyfriend left you so many years ago and hasn't been seen since and is played by Christian Slater? Yes. Like, Tara Reid actually looks at him as if, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the singularity I go.
Meanwhile, on a boat with Mr. Lionel Hudgens, who has grown up to look rather charmingly like current Labour leader and prime ministerial hopeful Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn then hikes up this massive vault full of something.
Yes, a solid gold vault.
Yes, it turns out to be solid gold, which is a detail he didn't share with his piratous crew, who then lock him in a room, open the vault in order to find out, I mean, if the container's made of gold, what's in it must be even more valuable.
Yes.
Turns out, it's a bit of an evil inside.
Yeah.
That successfully does them all away.
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn emerges from below deck and finds a piece of that key from the beginning that's going to open the doors to the other world.
Yes, the artifact that everybody's looking for.
Which handily we know exactly what it is because of the opening crawl. We wouldn't want any sense of mystery or like confusion.
No.
Meanwhile, Christian Slater's found another bit of that key and goes to check out his old girlfriend in order to find out what it is.
Yes,
because she knows all about Ab Carney. Yeah. Well, at the very least, he could check with Rob.
Well, to get to Rob, you have to get to Tara Reid first.
A bit of FaceTime with Tara Reid.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, yeah, it's great to see you.
Is Rob around?
Yeah, you see Rob.
Yeah. I don't know, Christian Slater. I'm not Rob. I can't answer these questions.
This is why our relationship fell apart.
Luckily, Rob was in the room, I think.
Yeah, he was just there already. Oh, you guys haven't seen each other in many years. Probably because of that time that Slater ran away due to issues that we never find out about.
But of course, he is an orphan, so that's probably something that will come in handy later. Yes, he was a right torphan.
Ghosties attack, right?
Yes.
And they disrupt all the electricity in the area. They survive this attack by shooting some guns, or do they just run? I think they just run. I think they just run at this stage.
Okay.
But Paul, are you sitting down? Are you sitting down?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know. Fuck.
Can you see?
Yeah, but like, I don't know how you work.
We're just going to go with it. I think cross fingers and
I think it'd be higher if not. Rob dies.
Oh.
He gets that beautiful brain that's just full of all the information he'd ever want squashed out of his head.
Oh, Rob.
I know.
Sweet Rob.
Sweet, beautiful, perfect Rob.
Where did all that information go?
It's lost like tears in the rain.
Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, came along, put it all in a hat, and scarped it into the night.
Rob was the beginning of Wikipedia.
And he threw it on the internet.
And some say there's just a little bit of Rob in the wiki. Lost in the data pages.
So next...
Department 713 shows up.
Department 713.
Bureau 713, I'm sorry. You may remember them from the opening text crawl.
Yes.
They show up. Their job is to... you fucking know. They show up. Led by Stephen Dorff. Dorff. And says basically to Slater, you quit the job several years ago because you thought you weren't getting answers, so you shouldn't be here anymore, guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I used to be your mentor. Now you've got my job. So...
Yeah.
I don't like you.
He says a lot of cop things, doesn't he? Like, I want everybody surrounding the perimeter.
DA's going to have my ass on this one.
You're a wild card, Carnby.
And a loose cannon.
I put a bottle up my anus and it won't come out.
Everyone just goes really quiet around him. I mean, DA... loose cannon... Shut up!
You're all mavericks. I want all of your weapons, all of your badges.
It then turns out that you know what that bloody Salata did?
What?
He stole his ID.
Oh, I tell you what, he's got some good sleight of hand, doesn't he?
Yeah. Fuck you. Jesus. End of podcast.
Fuck.
Yeah, so he uses that. I'm not going to get over it. That card to get into. That's the moment that's going to stick with me long into death. So he uses the card to break into the lab and talk to the still sympathetic Dr. Man.
Dr. Fisher, the pathologist?
Ooh, look at you if you're remembering things about people.
Paid attention
you're like
briefly.
Rob. The scientist tells him, oh, well, all the Torfans basically have little weird
basically,
on
all
their
they
spines.
have.
Basically.
Oh, basically, it's just this...
demonic leech thing on your spinal column. You've got one too, mate.
Yeah.
It's just that when you electrocuted it, it died.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, scientist. Bye.
Off he goes.
Anyway, he goes back to his apartment. Tara Reid shows up for a bit of a love scene set to the best piece of music ever produced in the 90s.
Nana Sherry's 7
damning
seconds.
with faint praise if ever there was anything.
It's not a second, we're 7 seconds away, just as long as I stay.
But then monsters attack!
No. Yeah.
They have a very confusing shootout with them in which at some point during the shootout some SWAT guys arrive.
Yes, it's a very baffling shootout. Apropos of very little, Well,
in the
monsters
dark.
arrive, which is a fairly good segue into shooting things. I mean, I'd agree if it was just a love scene followed by shooting things. That would be odd.
Kind of was. They had to. I guess the monsters had to wait for the lights to go out, and sex is when that happens.
Don't be insane. Don't open that door.
I think that might have been actually the moment where I asked you to check the time on the film.
Yes.
Because I wanted to mark the point where I started to really lose interest.
Which, to be fair, was late on.
50 minutes?
Yeah, that's not bad for a 1%er. The worst, one of the worst films ever made, according to everyone.
Yeah, not too bad, I suppose, in that respect.
So the one good thing about Alone in the Dark was the first 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good going.
Yeah. So after that, Stephen Dorff
he's there now.
He's there, and he is like, oh, we're on the same side now.
I trust you implicitly and will even follow your orders. So now we've got Christian Slater and Stephen Dorff combined together.
Yes.
And they're going to go check out a gold mine.
Yes, they are. Yes. I remember.
Dorff, Slater, and Reid go down with some special forces. Special forces? I just want to tell you all, you're the real special forces. They go down to the, the mine. Meanwhile, the mine gets attacked by these evil monsters that were still in the world from when the Afghani opened it in the opening text crawl, if you can remember that far back. There's a big gunfight, I guess. A whole bunch of people get killed. Yeah.
By the way, Professor Hudgens is evil!
What? No!
It's revealed halfway through the film!
I thought he did good experiments on orphans.
No, because... Oh, no, wait, sorry, that was covered in the voiceover at the beginning of the film, wasn't it? He was evil.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's in the cave. They arrive. And he's like, you don't understand my experiments. And Slater's like, nah. Yeah. And Dorff's like, yeah, fuck you, fucker, fucking fuck.
Hey, Steven, that's not a nice way to speak to an old man.
Hey, fuck you, fucking fuck. I do whatever the fucking I like.
I want an Oscar.
The professor's like, I don't know what any of this is. Yeah. I'm going to open a doorway to hell.
Yeah. Stephen Dorff throws a knife in his chest.
Yeah, but too late. Because he's already put the key in the lock. And the door opens.
Oh.
Now
Pandora's door.
Pandora's door.
Pandora's.
Pan's door.
Pandora's? Full stop.
Yes. Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Question mark. Quotation marks. Hashtag
to continue.
What is going on? So they go through, and I guess there's a scary dimension in there that we can't see because it's all dark.
I think Uwe Boll was leaving a lot to the imagination. He works very much in the realm of dreams and what could be's.
Yes, he definitely does. That's what I got from Far Cry. They leave. They leave an explosive device. They get to a door, but it turns out the explosive device isn't very good, or at least the aliens are disrupting the signal. Consequently, Stephen Dorff has to go back, set it off manually.
Yes.
He performs the ultimate Dorffice.
Yes. If by Dorffice you mean setting a 5-second timer on the bomb when he couldn't possibly get away from the blast in that space of time, throwing it 3 feet in front of him, and then jogging away from an explosion that travels at the speed explosions often travel.
The speed of explosions times the speed of explosions squared.
Yeah, it's a very well-known universal measure of speed. It's light, sound, cheetahs, explosions.
Are cheetahs quicker than explosions?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Cheetahs are quicker than explosions. It's all down in Stephen Hawking's book, The Real Civilization.
But Bruce Willis is slightly quicker than explosions, usually. Is he slower than cheetahs?
Now, this is where it gets interesting.
Right.
Because if a cheetah is running on his own, on 2 legs, like a Bruce Willis, that's when he is...
Like a Bruce Willis.
Slower than Bruce Willis, but faster than explosions. But on 4 legs, which, for some reason, they didn't test it.
They didn't test that to find out.
I'm pretty sure cheetahs are the fastest force.
Right. Faster than a Bruce Willis.
Faster than light.
Faster than a light.
Faster than light. Faster than God.
Right. Faster than
better
love?
Than God?
Faster than love.
Faster than love, better than God.
Right, okay.
Is my next concept album. Stephen Dorff dies.
Yeah,
right.
he
perishes in the fire.
In a massive blur of Bruce Willis and Jesus, he dies.
If only you were Bruce Willis.
If only.
If only you were a cheetah.
Yeah. Stephen Cheetah. All the army guys died. Some of whom we kind of cared about, but not really. Salata and Reed make it to surface level and find the city is empty.
Mm-hmm.
A subtitle tells us that the entire city has been evacuated. A voiceover tells us that they have disappeared like the Abkhani did. So there is now a titanic conflict between the on-screen text explaining things and the voiceover narration explaining things. In any case, it's not given time to fully play out because the whole narrative collapses inwards on Slater and he dies in a massive blur of logic. The end.
Yes.
And what plays over the end credits?
If I Had an Angel by Nightwish.
Jolly good.
Yeah, which is a good song.
Sure is.
And here it is in this film.
Whoops.
Now, I would like to think that the ending of the film was intentional from Uwe Boll, because I don't want him to challenge me to a boxing match.
I'd rather not.
No. That was confusing. Was the rest of the film any better?
So this, it's interesting. I've seen a few Uwe Boll films. This is your first.
This is my first.
So his style, and I think the things that people criticize him for, is an incomprehensible story. There's a lot of story here. It's delivered clumsily.
Yes. They were going for the video game thing of being able to cover an awful lot of story in just 2 hours.
Yeah, cutscenes.
Yeah.
That's the awkward thing about video games, is that once you take out the bit where you just find a document and read it and it explains everything, once you cut that out for not being cinematic, although God bless them for putting it in at the beginning.
Sure,
that was very much the equivalent of in Resident Evil finding like a lab report.
Yeah, and I did actually find I've never played any of the Alone in the Darks, but there was a lot of static camera work which reminded me of the early Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
And of in Cold Blood. I don't know if you ever played that game.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, similar sort of aesthetic. To that.
I mean, there was some Silent Hill qualities to stuff like the abandoned city and some of the monsters.
Kind of felt like, again, we were watching old 90s style FMVs. That were, live action in between sort of episodes of gameplay.
Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, stuff. He was free again. So they had him back.
God damn it! I need a perimeter. So yes, there's that quality. I mean, in House of the Dead, Boll included footage from the game, which he would intercut with his own footage. Which, considering it's House of the Dead, did not blend very well.
What, you mean the arcade light gun game?
Yes. I see. Every so often there'd be a few frames of just that. So he demonstrated an alarming amount of restraint in this one.
Okay.
Yes. So you've got that. You've got terribly filmed action sequences, for the most part.
Yeah.
I liked the first one.
I liked the first one. It was a little slow at times.
Him versus Taxi Driver.
Yeah, and I don't mean slow-paced. I mean that the literal action seemed slower than it needed to be real life. Somebody threw a punch or got flipped. It was all done in a kind of, now let's not hurt each other when we're doing this, okay? Because we can't afford stuntmen. way.
Nor can we afford to cut to sort of make this a bit quicker.
No.
But for the most part, there were squibs. It was shot in daylight. You could see what was happening.
Yeah.
Some good stunts.
There was threat.
Some wire work.
Yeah.
All we knew about Slater is that he'd had a couple of lines that we liked.
A fancy flip kick.
Fancy flip kick.
Yeah.
Some bullet speed action.
Yeah. Which was okay. It established that Christian Slater was an excellent shot.
It reminded me, that little moment of the bullet's time reminded me of like that thing in the early noughties where suddenly we could do all this stuff with CGI and nobody knew what to do with it. And so consequently there was some very contrived stuff. Like The Matrix has this technology where it's like, hey, we can slow down time using this thing and like put in CG elements and make like a fully panoramic view of things. How should we use it? Trinity could jump into the air and then we'll freeze and just pan all the way around her. And people are like, yes, that's brilliant. And nobody asks, what would the impact of that be? And why should we do it? Shut up.
Yeah, but we didn't care back in 1999.
No, I didn't care. Oh my God. That was the best thing ever. It's like, oh my God, we spun around her. Now we can see her from the other side.
360 Carrie-Anne Moss.
What?
No. It's kind of like me with a tenner in my pocket. I just lose all sense of control, restraint.
Another Lamborghini, for fuck's sake, Paul.
That's right, I bought another loaf of bread. Fuck, I'm poor. Now, any extra money that Uwe Boll got for the film, he just piled into special effects.
Which shows, I think.
It does show. Yeah. It shows that he used a lot of special effects. It doesn't show that $30 extra million, well, it wasn't noticeable in the CGI, was it?
Not particularly.
No. It wasn't too bad until the monsters showed up.
The monsters weren't great, no.
The monsters didn't feel like they were even intended to be in this original film.
Yeah.
There was something very what's the word?
Boll-esque.
I guess that'll be the best way to sum up what I try and explain. Yeah. No matter how shoddy a lot of modern CGI can be, it always looks like it was intended to be in that scene, or like they attempted to like blend it into that scene, whereas these ones really felt like it was animated on a white screen and they like copy and pasted it.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. Some of the way they captured the performances wasn't against a blue screen. Like, they filmed the actors against a black screen and then rotoscoped them, which means that you need to cut around the people and animate around them, which is not only tremendously time-consuming, but it really does look like you've just awkwardly taken an actor and put them in front of something that's dead.
Fritz sticks it all together, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
That's exactly what it was. It was a really strange way of doing it, and I did wonder if it was stylistic, because the way the camera sort of swept from group to group, unfortunately it gave us no sense of scale and no sense of place. So you're just going from like groups of people shooting to other groups of people or things shooting or being hit by
without
bullets.
knowing where they are in relation to each other. There's that clumsiness to it. And this is part of Boll's style, is the sort of awkwardness in which things are handled. And there was every so often some good sort of shots and things that imply that he does care. With Boll, it's tricky. I think most people are aware of the fact that there's some financial trickery that goes on with Uwe Boll. His name is infamous. Everybody knows it's synonymous with badness. Now, the way he used to get financing for these projects is that he would manipulate German tax law, which would give you massive tax breaks if you invested in film.
God bless him.
Through various God bless them for that. That's a wonderful idea. Tragically abused by Hollywood hacks. That's how they would do it. Is they would get this tremendous amount of money because it was a scam, basically, getting rich Germans to invest in their films instead of paying their taxes, and then they could get the various money that was made by selling the rights to the film, selling distribution rights. They'd get that back and basically wouldn't make a loss. It didn't matter if it was good or not, and in fact. Because they registered the initial investment as a loss, anything they made back from the production wouldn't be taxed, whereas all of the profit would be taxed. So it's actually in their interest not to make too much profit from these films.
Yes, like the producers.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was a great film.
It was. Luckily, the producers was not manufactured in that way.
It does sound like it's in cinema's best interest to not have this tax...
yes, unfortunately, but it's
tax initiative.
There's a lovely idea in it, though. The idea of, okay, you've made quite a bit of money. Please pay your taxes so that we can pay for all our social programs. Or if you like, make a movie, because culture is also an important part of life.
Yeah,
and
put something back into it.
Yeah, and if you're a wealthy state like Germany is, you can do things like that, and also just bail out a country now and then when you want to.
Yeah, if you want, no biggie.
With provisos.
NPD. Yeah, well, of course with provisos. We're not going to do it out of the kindness of our heart.
You don't want to give them money and see them spend it recklessly, like on the poor.
Well, you're just going to go and spend it on chips and carling anyway. Poor people, make me sick.
It's all just making
us back into the country.
Yeah, it's just making us all better, and film is part of that, and I like that idea. And
but it's not working. Stupid idea.
Well, I think it's closed now.
Okay.
Which is an important thing because Boll had this little tenure.
Is it closed because of Boll?
It might be closed because of Boll. There's every chance that Angela Merkel got in, saw Alone in the Dark, and was just like, no,
tore her own face off.
None of this. None of this now. Never again. So that's the thing, is Boll's movies sort of were big in 2004, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
2007, things seem to have changed. He made a comedy called Postal. They parodied the idea of an excessive American society. It's just the film isn't very good because Boll doesn't know how to make a film.
Yes.
But there's the implication that he is now trying. And actually, watching the behind-the-scenes stuff, either he's a brilliant salesman, Or maybe this whole time he was actually trying. He just is rubbish.
I mean, for how long had he been challenging critics to boxing matches? Because
that was 2007, and that's why I think he started caring. That's why I think he got defensive. And his response to being upset is to get angry, which is proven by the fact that a few years later, recently in fact, he retired from movies.
Yeah.
The German tax loop closed. He wasn't able to make movies that way. He turned to the audiences to do crowdfunding for what do you call it? Kickstarter. And it all fell through. Because everyone hates Uwe Boll. There's petitions to get him to stop making movies, for Christ's sake. And now he's a chef, offering authentic German, unpretentious German cuisine in Canada. And he's getting very good reviews for doing it. So, like, by filmmakers last week who were like, yes, well done, thank God, please don't come back, please.
Well, it's nice that there's a success story in there for Uwe Boll, because
if he... Well... I can't decide whether or not this is like the tragic story of Uwe Boll, the filmmaker who was rubbish and tried, like Ed Wood, or if it's just a cynical fucking piece of shit who abused German tax laws and was really mean to almost everyone involved in the whole thing.
Well, I mean, I guess then it's about whether he really was trying or not.
Yeah,
and
which is
to be honest, I mean, watching Alone in the Dark, I didn't get the feeling that he wasn't trying.
No, there were stunts. There was wire work. There were things that he had set up and done. He wanted to make his movie with the car chases and Tara Reid.
Yeah.
And not the H.P. Lovecraft shit.
So he's a visionary? But I mean, has Uwe Boll always made video game adaptations?
Oh, yeah, almost always.
Almost exclusively.
He made a movie called Assault on Wall Street, which I don't think was... and of course, further evidence that he later on actually tried to make movies is that he made a movie about the Holocaust and another movie about Darfur. Neither of which were exploitative, sort of nasty films, like, the sort of Nazi exploitation used to get in the 70s. Like Ilse, fucking she-wolf of the SS, or anything like that, which is what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Instead, it's...
No, he made Son of Saul and Waltz with Bashir.
He did. No, he made two very boring, poorly made documentaries. Yeah. Why do that? Those aren't going to be money-making hits. Why?
Do you reckon it kind of started as a purely like platonic tax avoidance money making scheme, and as it went on, the odd couple of Uwe Boll and cinema slowly fell in love,
crept into his cold, dark German heart,
and they coiled in the darkness and produced something truly Lovecraftian. Finally,
Rampage.
There was, yes,
yeah, maybe. It's underwhelming, I think, is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be fucking surprised. The number of worst movies ever made we've watched already in 29 episodes and found that they're not actually that bad.
I feel like people just aren't seeing bad enough films.
I kind of feel like people aren't even watching these films. I think
you're just getting a reputation.
They get this reputation, but because it's not The Room with Tommy fucking Wiseau, that nobody can spare half an hour and a half to watch it and go, oh, it's not actually that bad.
Yeah.
What? No, I don't want to go and sit in a cinema with the director whilst everyone laughs at him in the dark.
Yeah, that sounds unpleasant.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I was getting off on my Tommy Wiseau tangent.
But it is important here. We're talking sympathy for Mr. Boll.
Yeah.
Which is a controversial thing to talk about. Yeah. Again, petitions to get this guy to stop. And he doesn't seem like a very nice man. There are also other people in this movie giving it some heart, giving it some welly.
There are also other people in this movie.
There are. You've got Christian Sutter-Latter.
Yeah.
He's really good in this, I think. I mean, he's
fine.
He's a pretty charismatic kind of guy, usually. At his worst... he's just boring because he hasn't been given anything good to do.
Christian Slater is a decent actor who had to deal with a baffling costume of vest and leather trench coat, which was just another aspect of this like unbelievable dodecahedron that was Alone in the Dark. But he had some lines where I went, "Ooh, like he's
a human being."
Yeah, he's a human being, and I had a shiver of empathy for him just then. Was Tara Reid a bimbo?
Oh, I didn't find her to be so. I mean, she's pretty dull.
Yeah.
Occasionally the sort of Valley Girl accent creeps through.
The app kind of used constellations to pinpoint a geographical location, but I don't think we could zero in more than maybe 100-mile radius.
But, I wouldn't have said it was particularly incredible, her being an archaeologist. And Stephen Dorff playing usual asshole, but this time with a heart. Kind of.
Oh, yeah.
In as much as you just abandoned being an asshole partway into it.
The other problem is dialogue when it's not scenes between characters. It's just bits of dialogue that a cop would say, or dialogue that the historian has to say, or dialogue that
Rob the security guard has to say.
Yeah, he was a shining gem. And,
God, he was.
Yeah, I hope to be joining his ascension soon. Yeah, he had the heart, but there was no flair there. There was no sort of capability that was just gonna help it get through to me.
No, there wasn't. So there may well have been some good intentions in there, but ultimately the whole thing was fairly underwhelming. Especially even.
Let's leave it in.
Shit. Even underwhelming as one of the worst movies ever made. So let's.
Couldn't even be the worst movie ever made.
Couldn't even be the worst movie ever made.
And
so
it just wasn't the worst movie ever made.
It wasn't.
It's certainly not the worst film that we've done so far.
No, it definitely wasn't. It's not going to make my bottom 5. I don't think.
No, not even.
So let's refocus. Let's talk about some good things. Let's quickfire.
Okay.
I'm very fond of the gore effects. There were quite a few really good ones, aside from the sort of autopsy on the guy on the taxi attacker.
Yeah,
which was great. With the sort of practical element of the weird squid thing, the weird worm. There was also a really cool. See, when Rob, the beloved security guard, is killed, the big fake CGI monster grabs his head. But what's great is if you look at his head, it's like you can see the indentations of the thing's fingers as it sort of crushes his skull.
Yeah,
and I didn't know if that was CGI or a practical effect, but it looked great.
I think the first action scene and a couple of others had a lot of campy charm. I think in a lot of the special fight moves that they had, like flipping people around by the arm, and I liked it was like an old school like Power Rangers style choreography.
Yeah, it had some Matrix qualities to it as well.
It was fun with all the the cops running around with uniforms that weren't really police uniforms that I think he'd just found in a school gym somewhere.
I liked the unisex sort of Bureau 713.
Yeah.
Almost at all levels, the tech support, the army, the SWAT services, the whole bureau was very sort of mixed in terms of genders and men and women, and I really approved of that, even though Boll has this reputation as being, something of a misogynist, certainly, but good on him for having female characters who he wasn't afraid to sort of kill off, the same as the men, and also... generally, I kind of liked some of the SWAT people. Like, there were occasional moments, like little moments of heroic sacrifice or just amicability that made them a little more human than they needed to be for just, monster fodder.
Yeah, there was a real lack of like, asshole police officers.
Yeah.
There was no, like, cocky jock police officer.
Apart from Stephen Dorff.
Apart from Stephen Dorff, but, I mean... He wasn't even supposed to be in the film. When the pathologist Fisher, somebody came to visit him in his house, and I can't remember who, but when he was walking through the kitchen, there was a really tasty-looking curry that was simmering away.
I really liked some of the music. Like, over the final sequences where they're wandering around in the city and it's been either evacuated or just emptied by demonic forces. An important distinction.
Not for this film.
It wouldn't be satisfactory if Theresa May came on the news and said that, I'm afraid Dorchester has either been evacuated or... But, it's like the really eerie music playing over that sequence. Throughout most of the film, the theme that accompanied any memory of Christian Solata's childhood was met by a piece of music that was maddeningly familiar. Any of you know what it is, please get in touch with the OGT boys, because it is driving one of them literally insane.
Guess who?
Guess which one?
In the final action scene, there was one moment when the camera zooms along to someone in this video game. This is all taking place on the same set sort of way. And it stops for long enough for a monster to appear, grab a soldier and throw him away, and that looked quite cool. And again, it looked like a music video / video game, but on that occasion... it worked.
Yeah. I did actually like the taxi driver. For all his sort of discrediting of Christian Slater's ridiculous line of work. He seemed like a real person. He seemed like a nice guy.
He did. He's very natural.
Yeah, it's a shame that he sort of got just car crashed out of the movie.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily die. He just kind of...
ceased to exist.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't watching him anymore, therefore.
Therefore, he is nothing.
He was unborn. Well done on getting an empty city, or at least part of an empty city.
Yeah, they closed that shit off.
Yeah.
Whatever city that was.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Probably.
It did feel like every indoor location was the same set.
Yeah, sure.
So it just had some stuff moved around.
His massive bedroom.
Yes, which was a warehouse. But yeah.
The emptiness to the film was also one of the good things about it. Let's talk about the one better thing. The one better thing. So I'm reaching into the past a little bit for my one. I'm going to recommend what came to mind because of all the sort of darkness and the idea of a Lovecraftian horror and sort of also bad acting and cheesy gore effects is a Lucio Fulci movie.
Hooray.
Lucio Fulci's fantastic. I'm very fond of him. And in addition to the incredibly complicatedly titled Zombie 2, also known as Zombie Flesh Eaters, also known as Zombie, also known as Voodoo, in addition to that brilliant piece of zombie cinema, he also directed the Gates of Hell trilogy, which is very reminiscent of this. And you've got City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, and The House by the Cemetery. All three of which are really great, but I'm very fond of The Beyond, which is a story about, a hotel which has been built on a gate to hell, and consequently, the people inside of it keep having these really weird, bizarre, and incredibly violent deaths happening to them. And it's all glorious sort of 80s plastic factory style gore effects where people turn into rubber before they're torn apart by like vicious spiders or whatever's going on. It's a fantastic piece of sort of 80s camp Italian horror. And it ends with a brilliant sort of look into hell, and it's one of the most vivid depictions of hell I've seen outside of a Japanese movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, The Beyond. It's a great sort of horror movie that sort of hints at the darkness that Alone in the Dark lacked. Or had a different kind of darkness.
Actual literal darkness.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go kind of mainstream with this one, and kind of the same time as Alone in the Dark, though. Hellboy.
Hey.
Directed by Guillermo del Toro. And starring Ron Perlman, Doug Jones, Selma Blair, John Hurt.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
There's a supernatural branch of the government investigating paranormal incidents. Ron Perlman plays a demon raised from infancy after being conjured by and rescued from the Nazis.
Yep.
And it's way cooler than Alone in the Dark. It's way funnier. The performances are better. The dialogue is better.
Yeah.
The story is done better.
Oh yeah.
The effects are much better. You've got
incredible.
You've got Guillermo del Toro, Doug Jones, playing Abe.
Yeah.
Is it
Abe Sapien?
Abe Sapien, among other things, and the work that he's done in Pan's Labyrinth and everything like that is just incredible.
Yeah, just the way he designs a world, his production design is beautiful.
Yeah, if you can take a bite out of it, it's a lot tastier than Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
Kind of turned out to be a bit of an unpalatable mess.
Yeah,
like just slop on a plate, unfortunately. Hellboy was just way more enjoyable and better in every way.
It definitely was.
If you haven't seen it for some reason, then check it out.
Check it out before they reboot it.
Oh. Starring Will Smith as Hellboy. And if you have seen Hellboy, then watch Pan's Labyrinth. And if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth, then watch The Devil's Backbone. There's another Guillermo del Toro.
And you've seen The Devil's Backbone? Well, well done you.
Yeah. Aren't you a del Toro fan?
What are you listening to us for? Go off.
Yeah.
Why not? Good stuff. That was the one better thing. The one better thing. Now, before we round off, and something I'd like to say. This week, George A. Romero died. George A. Romero was a director of horror movies pretty much throughout his career, starting in 1968 with Night of the Living Dead, going all the way up to sort of more recent efforts. Now, George, we don't usually do this. We don't usually have a sort of in memorandum section of our show, but
we're going to from now on.
We're going to from now on. George A. Romero was huge for me as a teenager. The way he defined and created the zombie movie is just it's immeasurably impactful. It's so rare for sort of one person to have created something, for one film to become so emblematic of a genre. And zombie movies, it all comes back to Night of the Living Dead. Dawn of the Dead, is one of my favorite movies of all time. The whole trilogy, the Dead trilogy, is just so great, and it's so each one sort of parodies their time, sort of fear of communism in the original one, fear of commercialism in the 70s, and fear of sort of 80s military style rhetoric in the third one, Day of the Dead. Just always topical, always engaging, and just wonderful gore effects, wonderful eye for that sort of thing. Martin is an underseen gem of his, about a boy who's convinced that he's a vampire and lives his life accordingly. It's never implicitly stated whether or not he is.
Yeah.
Creepshow he made, which is one of the best Stephen King adaptations, I think. In as much as it's still obviously a Stephen King adaptation, it wasn't improved by a genius at the craft. It was just made for what it was, and it's blissfully camp, very frightening. But also just a lot of fun. So Creepshow, the Dead trilogy, Martin, go check these movies out because they're really worth looking into, and it's a hell of a legacy.
Cool. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And rest in peace, Chester Bennington. You helped a lot of people. Okay.
So
thanks very much, everyone. We are on Twitter and Facebook at OGT Pod. We are now on YouTube. And we are now on Stitcher.
What?
So there are so many formats.
There's no excuse for not having heard what you just heard.
No, there are many formats for each of the holes in your face now. So get one in one of them, another in another, one up the other.
Get us on Taste-O-Vision.
Yep.
It's the worst thing that ever was made. You can just taste the pools and the Uwe Boll. I hate it. You'll hate it too. Check it out.
Soon to be coming on Feelscape. And if you want to get in touch, we just gave her all these things, but there's also Gmail. If you do know the name to the elusive piece of music that Paul was getting at earlier, then please get in touch on one of these formats. Also, please stick around after the music, after the disco. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have an ad for the lovely people over at Cinema Bushido.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Have a listen to that and check out their podcast.
Yeah, please do. Check out ours first.
Yeah. Then theirs. If you have time between us, check out Cinema Bushido.
Yeah. And if you have to take the advice after listening to us telling you on our episode to check out us first, then probably listen to the podcast in a better order.
Yeah. Figure things out.
Beginning first.
Stop being such a backwards man.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with a special 30th episode Defense of episode.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure to tune in for that. Meanwhile, I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Paul Goodman.
And the one good thing about Alone in the Dark were the creepy moments where our main characters actually found themselves alone in the dark. Oh no, wait. No one was ever alone in the dark in this movie. You... Paul!
Welcome to Cinema Bushido, a bi-weekly movie show taking on badass action cinema. Samurai, robots,
dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Kung Fu, swords.
You a faggot, Nash? Why, Garfield? You cruising for a piece of ass?
And guns. Lots of guns. You can find us everywhere you go to find podcasts. And be sure to check out cinemabushido.com.